To a nicer guy, it couldn't happen.
I am the man of the hour, the man with the power.
Diamonds are forever.
He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family.
And what you gonna do, Andre?
History beckons the Macho Man. Yeah.
The best there is, the best there was.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
2 words for ya.
2 words.
And just a man. The champ is here.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Journey into Wrestling. I'm your host, Nate, and for the first time ever, today we're, as the Freebirds have allowed us to do, it's just two of us. We're in this tag team tandem today, and it's not myself and normal co-host Brando. Today, for the first time ever, Padriac, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going pretty good. How are you today?
Good. It's I think this is just a thing that we do as adults. We have to talk about the things that are in our surroundings. It's fucking winter, bro.
Yeah, I personally am not a big fan of winter, but it's here and it's upon us, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna get like probably 11 inches before the weekend's over. At least up here. I don't think you guys are probably slated to get that much, but lake effect snow, man.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just been spitting snow all day here. Nothing big, nothing major. Just a little bit here and there.
Yeah, we had like 4.5 inches last night. That's what she said. Had to get it in there. Okay. Like so we snuck that one in. Anyways, man, so I've been watching like a lot of wrestling, and I've been trying to like catch up because I missed some stuff. There were a couple Raws I hadn't seen going into Survivor Series, then going into TLC. We were talking about doing a big kind of Survivor Series show, and you know what? I want to be the first to say this. We're going to talk about it here in a minute. I don't think Survivor Series delivered this year. I think that for me anyways, and Survivor Series has always been like one of my dearest and most favorite pay-per-views in the WWE. So to honestly say that this year I felt shorted. I felt like the main event was kind of blasé. Like you hyped it up for 30 seconds. It's kind of stupid. I felt like not the title matches, but the teamed matches had some interesting elements, but not a lot of great spots. It seemed like everybody was doing the same spots all night. And I don't know. What are your opinions, man? What did you think of Survivor Series?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty much a letdown. I think the only thing that I really liked on it was the tag team elimination match, and that was more near the end of it, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I thought it was a letdown. Both of the matches that could take the title to the other show, they both had awful finishes.
Oh, I forgot. I was so disgusted with those two matches. I forgot they were on the card. So
yeah, those were awful. And then, like you said, the main men elimination 5-on-5 match. It had, like you said, it had good elements, but I mean, the whole time that's going on, I'm waiting for the main event, and of course, as soon as I'm like bracing myself to get excited for it, it's over. So, yeah, I don't think it was as good as past years at all.
No, I felt like, to speak on a couple little there were a couple little cool moments that did happen during the pay-per-view that I did enjoy. But here are some of my like top thoughts from that pay-per-view. One, I hate to say this, I'm sick of seeing Sami Zayn lose. I want him to do something other than be the best loser on the roster.
Yeah.
To me, they had an opportunity right there. Just switch the two titles. Make it awesome. It could have been really cool. Have Kalisto steal the title. Have Sami Zayn win the IC title. It would have made for an interesting dynamic moving forward with this year. And instead, it kind of set the brands back a little bit, because it was just kind of like, oh, here we are at Survivor Series. No titles changed hands. Every team we expected to win won. Everything we expected as far as spots, we pretty much got. With the exception of some pretty cool moments. And then the main event, the main event to me was like, that was almost worse than the finger poke finish in some regards. While, yeah, you make Goldberg look like this mecha badass, you put him up against Lesnar, who's literally dominated for the past 2.5 years and has not really had that much drama go on other than a couple, the WWE title loss. But for the most part, he has literally just taken everybody to Suplex City, devastated every person that's tried to stop him. He beat the shit out of John Cena. He beat the hell out of Randy Orton. So for all this to culminate with quick spear, jackhammer done, or however the real quick finish was just, it seemed to me like disgenuine, and it also kind of seemed like they were really protecting Goldberg, and I found that very weird.
Yeah, don't forget he ended the streak too.
Oh, totally. Yeah, he beat Taker, and he is the one in 21,000.
Yeah, so when you factor in, like you said, how he dominated Cena, he dominated Orton, he ended the streak. Brock Lesnar was the biggest thing going on, and just to have Goldberg beat him like that it just didn't seem right. It left a bad taste in my mouth. Dude hasn't been in the ring in years, and just the way it went down, it just was totally unbelievable. To me, I mean, Goldberg is a big dude, and I don't mind Goldberg at all, but I mean, when you look at how he handled the three that we mentioned, and then Goldberg, to me, at least with a couple of those, are no different as far as like believability or anything than them, and why they had Goldberg do that, I just don't understand, and I really didn't like it at all. And I agree with you; it was I think that was the wrong person winning.
I feel
at least if they were going to have him win, it should have been more than that.
Yeah, like bring it down to the wire, make it at least an interesting match. But that wasn't even a match; it was a squash. Yeah, I mean, you could have put fucking James Ellsworth against Goldberg if that's what you were going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they sold pay-per-views that this was just going to be some fantasy warfare come to life, and then the next thing you know, it is. I mean, honestly, they kind of did exactly what they said, because it's like a video game. I mean, and actually in a video game, you can't even get your finishers that fast. So I don't know how he did it. Goldberg must have just like eaten one of Mario's stars backstage or something. I think this is a case where WWE honestly was like not preparing people to really embrace Goldberg's return. And as soon as they saw his marketability, even at his age, they backpedaled, and they didn't have a plan for what do they do if people really embrace Goldberg. They expected he would come back to some cheers, maybe a few boos because of how he left the company. He would go up against Lesnar. It would not be close. Lesnar would probably get one over on Goldberg, because then now you've got a rubber match that you could set up maybe for WrestleMania or something. And now it seems like, okay, so now Goldberg's beat Lesnar twice. Now the next thing we know in this little saga or trilogy, whatever, is going to be the Royal Rumble. Now, I have an idea of what they should do at the Royal Rumble, and this is not a part of what we're going to do here in a little bit. But honestly, with the Goldberg thing, man, and Lesnar, they're both in the Rumble. You make them 1 and 2, right? You put them 1 and 2. They aren't going to fight each other until the end. They're going to stand side by side, eliminating everybody else. And then when it's down to the final 2 or the final 4, it ends up being Goldberg-Lesnar. One of them is getting a title shot. One of them is not. And that sets up a different drama. But I that's obviously not what they're going to do. They're probably just going to have the both of them beat the shit out of each other until they're both eliminated and keep beating the shit out of each other nonstop. Well beyond after they're eliminated from the match. But I digress. Let's continue with Survivor Series. PRL, man, what would you give this pay-per-view overall if you could rate it out of 5 stars?
And like a 1.5 or 2.
Yeah, it was a solid 2-star for me as well, man. To me, the biggest moment of the night, and I want to hear your biggest moment as well. To me, the biggest moment of the night was the Shield reunion, which was totally unexpected, but really totally badass. What a better way to have it be, AJ Styles that takes it was AJ that got put through the table, right? I'm not crazy there.
No, yeah, it was AJ.
That's right, because Dean had enough, and it was cool, and it was a pop, and it kind of gave me this like sense and feeling that maybe they were testing the waters to see if Roman will do better back in a team, because he's not. You can't sell me Roman Reigns. No matter how hard they try, they have not sold me on Roman Reigns. There was an opportunity when you could have sold me on Roman Reigns, but you squandered that, gave it to Dave Bautista, and that's a whole nother drama we can go down a different day. But yeah, this pay-per-view, man, 2 stars. My moment was the Shield moment. What about you? Overall in the pay-per-view, was there one thing that you were just like, fuck yeah, that was awesome?
Well, I do like that. That moment was awesome, and I really like that. My favorite moment of the night, pretty much was the end. Well, starting with that is when, to me, that match got good. And, leading on to what I really liked it when it came down to, from the Raw team, Sheamus and Cesaro, and they were left in there with the Usos for the last, few minutes of the match, and they went back and forth. I thought that they worked together so good. And it made me want to see more, but they're on different brands, so I won't see it. But I really enjoyed the end of that match with just those 2 teams, and I thought that they worked really well together.
I absolutely agree. The 4 of them, I mean, the Usos, it's really bizarre because they've never not been their tag team together. They've not broken apart and hated each other and had a big super feud and been their own men. They've always been the Usos, and that's cool. Cesaro and Sheamus are both, Cesaro is a former United States Intercontinental Champ. Then you have Sheamus, who's a multi-champion. He's won the world title, WWE title, and so on. And then these guys, they just are just wrestling technicians. They get in there, they kick ass, and they're great to watch. So to see that team who's new and blossoming with the Usos, who are literally the most seasoned tag team on the entire roster, aside from Anderson and Gallows, in my opinion, it was just really genuinely fun to watch. Now, I will say that on the other side of Survivor Series, we had another pay-per-view that was coming. But before that, are there any storylines that are building right now that you are really pumped about where they're going?
Well, I don't know, man. I'm starting to get a little tired of James Ellsworth in a way. The way that he's just been on TV so much, and I wish that they would give that time to someone else who, I know it's a different show, but if they were to I don't know. There's just people on Raw who could come over there and use a lot of that TV time, who doesn't get used a lot, like Sami Zayn. I don't like. It's weird because I don't know how to describe it, because I'm excited to see what they're going to do with AJ, because I really like AJ, and but they keep putting James Ellsworth in the middle of this, and it's kind of taking it down for me a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, as far as wrestling, I guess I don't have a exact storyline. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with AJ as far as just what he's doing, and I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to do with Miz. He's doing some of the best work. I know I've said on this show before, but I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with him too. And I guess the storyline with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, that's got me intrigued. If they're really going to hate each other, or if they're going to stay. What's going on with them? That's the storyline that I'm really interested in.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. As part of me wonders that storyline specifically, the Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. Obviously, KO says, "I don't need you, Jericho. The problem is you keep helping me win the title, and people keep looking at me like I can't win it by myself, and I want to prove to you that I can." Then he decides, then they decide they're going to put him in a match and determine if Roman Reigns will get an opportunity at the Universal title. He loses that match. Jericho. It's all these things, and there's the breaking point, and then KO tries to get it back. hey man, I got you all these matches. I put Seth Rollins in a match against the Big Show tonight. I gave you a chance tonight to beat that idiot Roman Reigns for his U.S. title, so we can not only be Universal champs, but we'll also be U.S. champs. And at Roadblock, you're gonna face Seth Rollins, and I softened him up, with Big Show tonight, except for Big Show ruined it and all these things. And then, are we cool? And he's like, no, we're not cool. Chris Jericho, he's great, but part of me goes, it would be so brilliant of them though right now, man. Honestly, if it comes out that they were planning this the whole time too. Like they fake hated each other. That would be the best swerve of swerves.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, well, we had you guys and you believed that I wasn't gonna help him and you were gonna go in that match solo, but we had it all planned out and he still won the title, It would be great. I think that would be great, and that is actually my number one if we were talking about number one storylines in the WWE right now, that's my top one. AJ and Dean and the title over on SmackDown is a close second, but I agree with you. James Ellsworth is kind of wearing on me, man. It's kind of getting annoying.
I don't know. Just the fact that, well, let me say this. Going back to the Jericho and Owens thing, I mean, they're heels. They're heels. That would be the perfect heel move to do. For someone to get everybody to think that they are not going to be friends anymore. They're never going to work together. And then Owens is going to lose, and everybody's like, oh, he has no help. And then somehow, Jericho comes out and just boom. And like, you know what? That would make me like them even more because they are heels. They're the kind of heels that you expect that from. And it would be, like you said, a perfect plan. And I would love to see that. But then, yeah, the James Ellsworth thing, I don't know. It's like, dude, he thinks that he's going to be champion, and then he's obviously not in any kind of capacity to be champion. It's just so one-dimensional. And I mean, now nobody he had Dean was on his side, and I can't see them doing like a thing where, kind of like what they're doing on the other show with James Ellsworth and Dean, and then he helps him beat AJ. That wouldn't work with them. It's just really wearing thin, and it's just getting to be one of my least favorite things going on right now, as much as I love AJ.
It's just, okay, I think the thing with me with James Ellsworth, too, is like, he is, I get it. He's an indie guy. He's been doing it a long time. He's paid his dues, and you're giving something back, and that's cool. But now you've made it a little bit shisty, okay? Now you've got a guy who walks around as a character boasting that he's beat AJ Styles multiple times, all in different precarious circumstances of how he won. Then he costs Dean the title going, well, Dean, it was nothing personal. I just know I can beat AJ and I don't have to worry about it, And to me, in no universe does he actually beat AJ for a title. I mean, if you want to just literally run AJ's name through the mud, you do that, And maybe, I mean, and that's even if AJ says, yeah, it's cool, do it. Like, I get it. Go ahead, have him beat me. That's no big deal. But I'm not a fan of that personally. I think that I mean, that's almost as bad as David Arquette winning the world title in WCW, man. And James Ellsworth is a wrestler, but it's just, it doesn't translate. There's no world where I see him with a world title. Give him the fucking IC title if you at some point want to put a title on him, but don't even, that we're even playing in this realm where they're considering having this be a storyline. I mean, because the WWE, and they're crazy. And as much as we would all go, well, we're smart wrestling fans, and smart wrestling fans know that there's no universe where James Ellsworth wins this title, but then the WWE might actually do that. That's terrifying, because they would go, oh, it's a good idea. This, rags to riches story or whatever. I just, I don't think James Ellsworth has long-term marketability. Moving forward from that, now I will say, before we get into this next pay-per-view, do you think this next pay-per-view that we're going to talk about perhaps was one of the best we had this year?
Well, I definitely think it was way better than the one we just talked about. Sure, but I really did enjoy the pay-per-view a lot.
Yeah, TLC was really good. SmackDown put on a show. Ladder match, Miz and Dolph, match of the night, I would say. I will say the shocker of the night, Alexa Bliss becoming the women's champ on SmackDown. And that in itself was kind of a weird finish we can get into, but let me pull up the card here right now. And I should have had this done before we started, but we had extraneous circumstances under with which we started today. And we're thinking about you, Brando, and we can't wait to have you back on the show next time, hopefully. .com. Sometimes I hate iPad. What's up with that?
I think that every match, every match was either some kind of match or had a title on the line, and there's a couple things on that show I can't wait to talk to you about because I really like a couple different things on this show a lot.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and try and get into that if I can pull up a match listing.
While you do that, while you do that, I can start it off with the. Did you see the pre-show match?
No, I missed the pre-show altogether.
So, the pre-show, I can talk about that. Then I watched it. It was Apollo Crews, Hype Bros, which is Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder, and American Alpha against Kurt Hawkins, the Vaudevillains, and the Ascension. So it was a 10-man 5-on-5 match. It was a pre-show, and the one thing that the match itself was, what you expect from a match of 5 people on each side. There was the brawling, everybody getting in, and there was, it all broke out. But the one thing that I found interesting, and I don't know if it's going to lead to anything, is that during the match, Zack Ryder or Kurt Hawkins was in there, and Zack Ryder got tagged in. And then after being in the ring together for a few seconds, Kurt Hawkins hurried up and tagged out.
They were former tag team together.
Exactly. So I'm wondering if that's going to lead to something. I don't know if that's going to lead to something that they did that. They didn't really say much about it, but if you remember the past of them being together on a team, then you would notice it.
I mean, they broke in together. They both were. I mean, that's how they came into the business. Main roster was a tag team with Angle, right?
No, with Edge.
With Edge, it was Edge. Yeah. My fault.
They were dressed up as Edge in that match. I think it was against Batista, and they were hiding underneath the ring. Batista kept beating up. Well, he beat up Edge, and then he thought he was still beating up Edge, but it was one of them, and then he thought he was beating up another Edge, and it was the other one of them, and then Edge ended up coming in refreshed, pinning him.
I do remember that.
I like that.
Speaking of Edge, real quick, to kind of tangent before we get deep into the TLC pay-per-view, I just read an article the other day, man, and you may not have heard this, so this is going to be reaction news. Edge talked about, on a podcast, I do believe, how he was planning to be booked out to end his career. Before doctors said, hey, look, we got to stop you now, he had 1 year left on his contract. He had kind of planned on what he wanted to do with the year. He had discussed that with backstage. They knew that was kind of where they were going to loosely go, and then it all got pulled out from under him. And this is actually what he planned on doing. What he wanted to face Alberto Del Rio, putting the title on the line. He would have lost to Alberto Del Rio because of Christian. They would have had a WrestleMania retirement match where Christian would have retired Edge. And I mean, and Edge said, and as Edge put it, he said, what better way to finish my career than to work for the final few months with my absolute best friend and the person who I wanted to do this with more than anybody else. And I just thought that was really quite awesome, and I really wish we would have got to see that happen.
Wow. Yeah, I did not know about that. That would have been an awesome thing to see and a really cool way to see him go out. And that would have helped Christian too.
Exactly, and that's what he said too. Is it would have helped to elevate Christian to another level, even though he's been. But ultimately, Christian did win the title from Del Rio, and then that just kind of spawns a whole other different set of circumstances. So to get into the thick of SmackDown's TLC pay-per-view, we start with the Wyatt family versus Slater and Rhino. No real surprise here. I kind of felt like this was coming for a hot minute, but Orton and Wyatt defeat Slater and Rhino to become tag team champions, and we've now seen it. Both shows have a Freebird-style tag team that reigns with their tag titles.
Yep. And the way they showed the unity by both of them giving the belts to Harper.
Yep.
And then posing. I'm interested in this team. I'm very interested in this.
I kind of feel like they need to maybe take another title too. Maybe not the world title. Maybe don't get them mixed up with AJ, but maybe they steal the IC title. Not steal it,
could do
but
that.
Maybe like Orton or Bray defeats Miz for the title. I mean, that would be like a weird cross booking thing, but I'm really excited to see that they're tag team champions right now. I love Bray Wyatt's work. I love like you said, I mean, and we saw this at the end of the Survivor Series 5-on-5 Raw versus SmackDown men's match, where Randy sacrificed himself for Bray. And it's become kind of a running theme where these guys are putting themselves in harm's way to make the team better, and it's kind of a new style of wrestling. You don't really see that often where a guy will take a hit. Usually it's like a guy blocking, administering, like, oh, I'm going to jump in and the ref's going to try to take me out or whatever. So I kind of like that element. I like the match. You?
Yeah, I thought the match was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I loved it.
It was great.
And I loved it how Rhino was always, and I don't know if it's going to lead to anything, but, Rhino was always the one who got the win for the team in every match. And in this one, he was the one who took the pinfall for the team to lose the titles. So I don't know if that's going to lead to something between the two of them, or if they're just going to go their own way or whatnot. But
well, I mean, it's weird because I always said when Slater was, oh, well, I have to win with whoever my mystery tag team partner is. I have to go all the way and win the tag titles just to secure a SmackDown contract. And you go, oh, that probably won't happen, and they'll probably come up with some other way to give him a contract. And then he wins the tag titles, and you're like, shit. I always thought, like, well, Slater and Rhino aren't going to last as a tag team for a long, long time. They probably need to take Rhino and send him back to NXT so he can work with the younger talent like he's been doing and help them develop. And he's taken a bunch of time up on the main roster. And now Slater can kind of breathe, and he's become his own character. But, I mean, I liked this match. I want to see where it goes. Do Slater and Rhino get the tag titles back? Is this the dissolution of that tag team? I do not know. Next on the card, I'm going to let you give your rapid reaction on it. First, thoughts on Nikki Bella versus Carmella, which is always fun to say.
This was the one match that I was the least disappointed in of the night. It was just, to me, the match was kind of goofy because it was just, it was a no disqualification match. And I mean, I guess they did get at one point they had a kendo stick out, but other than that, the way she won was by spraying her all over her body with a fire extinguisher. And she hit her finishing move. But so, I mean, this match was the one match on the card that I didn't enjoy at all.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, Nikki Bella in like with the like kind of UFC chick fighter hair going on was a little bit of a different look for her. I like Carmella. It's weird because I didn't think she would survive on her own when they brought her to the main roster. It always seemed to me that she was this like a piece of Enzo and Cass, and then when she came, I remember the first night she debuted on SmackDown, and she did the I'm a princess from Staten Island or whatever, and no one reacted to her. It was fucking silent. No one did the thing with her. She was just doing it, and no one was into it. and I thought, fuck, she might not last long on the main roster, like honestly, but she has absolutely surprised me because when she started doing this angle with Nikki, it elevated her. I mean, it really did, and she's shining now as a real competitor on this roster. That I don't know about you, but I could see her eventually holding the women's title over there.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I like her a lot more now than I did in NXT for sure.
Wow.
Seeing the work that she has done when she moved up and how hard she's been working and everything she's done, I have a whole different respect for her than I did before. And I do enjoy watching. I like Carmella too, but I mean, I don't mind Nikki Bella that much anymore. I mean, she's one of those ones that have worked, that you can see worked hard too. But yeah, the thing with Carmella was if you don't watch NXT, which I mean, not everybody has a network, not everybody's gonna know her. Like you said, when she came out and did her thing, not everybody might not know that. And a lot of people might not have even known that she used to be with Enzo and Cass. That's one of those things that was just hard to translate to the main roster. For people who'd never seen her before. But as far as her herself, I didn't really mean it as in like I didn't enjoy the match, but I enjoyed the work that they do. But I just thought that match wasn't good. But yeah, no, I like Carmella.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying because they didn't they put on a good program overall. The story that they're telling right now is great, but that match wasn't their best work, even close. Yeah, exactly. The story that they tried to convey in the ring wasn't their best work. I mean, no DQ, yeah, but I mean, I'm going to be bored with a no DQ match if you don't elevate it kind of like Raw did with the Hell in a Cell. I mean,
right.
Yeah, I mean, now there have been new standards put in place for women's wrestling. And it's really weird to think about it like that because, I mean, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything like that, but it seemed to me growing up watching wrestling or anytime you go to a live wrestling event, and again, this is purely observational. More times than not, I saw people get up to go to the bathroom during the Chicks match and to stretch their legs and go buy souvenirs and shit. It was like the intermission without an actual intermission. And now I feel like you can't miss a women's match because there could be phenomenal things happen and unforgettable matches. So kudos to them for building the women's division back to where it is now and actually elevating it beyond where even some of the best divas had taken it in the past. Let's go ahead and get down to it. Match of the night for me, IC title, Ms. Dolph. What did you think?
I like this match a lot. I even like the ending. I know a lot of people were mad about the ending, but I even like that for the Miz for his character. They did a lot of stuff. They did some things that they pulled some new stuff out. I mean, they've had a lot of matches together, and they pulled some different stuff out and. The match seemed kind of fresh, and man, it was one of the best ladder matches that I've seen. Maybe not only in a long time, but one of my favorites I've seen like overall.
Yeah, and that's a hard listen. When you're talking ladder matches, purely ladder matches, that's a whole nother category that when you open it up and look at some of the historical ladder matches, I'm talking like Triple H Rock for the IC title, Shawn Razor for the IC title. I mean, it's really weird because it's a lot of those like even Jeff Hardy Undertaker was an amazing ladder match, and that was for the world title. So you're right though. This match definitely stands out as one of those that is unforgettable. The moments, the spots, I will say the one spot to me that I found that was just awesome was the Miz he was holding on to the thing that holds the belt hanging from the ring. And I was just like, oh my God, if he falls, he's probably going to actually get kind of hurt. And I liked the resolution to that. So, like I said, definitely match of the night. The next match, I don't even really want to discuss. How this match got put on after an IC title match like that, I do not know. I mean, but I also want to say this. Baron Corbin is the worst, right? You don't like Baron Corbin.
I don't like him at all.
he defeats Kalisto in a chairs match, and Kalisto took him to the limits, and blah, 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 blah. I'm so over it. I'm so bored. Couple things I want to mention about Baron Corbin, and it's all going to kind of flow together right here. First of all, I want to know why and how on a SmackDown Live episode, again, do we have Dolph Ziggler working with Baron Corbin and now in a tag team match in some capacity? I was like, what in the hell is going on? Because wasn't it Dolph and Kalisto versus Miz and Baron, or was it a tag team and Dolph and there was some match just last week or the week before?
Yeah,
and
it was Kalisto and Dolph against Miz and Corbin, right?
Correct.
Okay, I think.
I'm pretty sure that was it. We're not professionals here. We watch a lot of wrestling, dude. Sometimes it's hard to discern, like, which match did I see? Did I just think about that match? Could that match have happened?
I watch more than just the Raw and Smack. I mean, we primarily cover just Raw and SmackDown, but I also watch NXT, Ring of Honor, the New Japan Pro Wrestling. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Maybe there's something now. I don't watch a whole lot of TNA anymore. But yeah. Anyway,
TN what?
Yeah, exactly. TN something. And I watched a little bit of the Lucha Underground. That's the one. So yeah, it is kind of hard to remember everything for sure.
So now we'll move to the co-main event of the evening. And what I thought was, I said it when we started talking about TLC, the most bizarre finish of the night to me goes to this match. Not to say it was a bad finish, not to say that it was like some sort of awful, terrible finish that is, like just spitting in the face of women's wrestling. It was just one of those things that when the spot happened, I was just like, oh, that was a lot less built up than I was expecting. But I liked this match. I feel like Alexa Bliss has earned her spot as the number one on SmackDown. Not that Becky doesn't deserve to stay there, but it helps Becky to elevate another person to that level. Because now you have two great... I mean, look at Sasha and Charlotte, and then now Bayley. You just keep bringing everybody up and give one of them the title for a little bit, and then let somebody else beat and just keep building them up. These divisions are going to keep growing. To me, like I said, and I want to get your opinion, the finish of this match is what I need to talk about. They're fighting on the outside of the apron. Alexa jumps down. She sweeps the leg. She gets under Becky and then powerbombs her through the table. All of a sudden, match over. It seemed kind of unplanned. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because for a heel, I just didn't expect her to win clean. Like, she won clean. That was one of the most. That might have been, well, besides the Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, that might have been the cleanest finish of the night. Which they were also heels, I guess, but
I mean, put her through directly the center of the table, like perfectly evenly, but it was just so quick.
There was no like weapon, like she didn't like, you know what I mean? Like it was just clean, like there was nothing like shady done. Which I mean, I know it's no rules in a table match, but you know what I mean? Like what would be looked upon as like an unfair advantage or anything.
Like no one came out and assisted Alexa. She didn't like pepper spray Becky in the eyes before she threw her through a table.
Exactly, something along those lines.
There
was nothing, no shoe taken off and smacked in the face or anything. It was like you said. It may have it could have totally have been unplanned, and if I find out it was, I would not be surprised because I just did not expect her to win that clean as a heel, but she did, and I mean I'm happy for her. And I will tell you this: I think this might be the first time that I've told anybody this, or I've mentioned it to anybody. But when they did the draft thing, and they brought up Carmella and Alexa Bliss, I remember thinking to myself, like I told you earlier, how I like Carmella so much more. That's the same way I felt about Alexa Bliss. And I was just like, oh great, like we're gonna have these two on SmackDown, but. Like you said, like with the women's division and everything they've been doing, I totally look forward to these two every week now. Like I really like Alexa and I really like Carmella, and I was very happy to see Alexa Bliss win.
Yeah, I mean that was. I mean, it's just Becky putting in good work. You know, it allows, and that's another thing too, man. I get it with some of the titles, and I mean I get it when CM Punk was champ. That's a whole different thing. But with the women's title, you're still building that division. So for one chick to just purely dominate throughout and have zero change will cause it to stagnate. It'll become stale, and no one will want to watch. By giving Alexa the title, now someone else is in the lead. It's weird because there's a lot of heels that are champs. I mean, across the board, I think, let's see, we've only got, what, 2 good guys that are champs right now?
Let me think here. We got
Sasha Banks and New Day.
Yeah.
That's it.
You're right.
Owens.
In New Day, honestly, on Monday, New Day kind of was acting a little heelish, jumping in the ring in that match, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I mean, with the who's the U.S. champion?
Oh, you know what? No, Roman too.
Okay.
So, but Roman's still hated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so
mean,
on SmackDown, everybody is heels.
Yeah,
I mean, all the heels. Not everybody's heels. All the heels are champions.
I got you. I knew what you were trying to say, and I knew what came out, and I got you.
So then and then I guess on Raw the only heel is Kevin, but everybody else is face over there.
But yeah, we're looking at a weird time in wrestling right now.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I guess it's like this. Okay, on Raw, it's weird too. Raw has so many champions. There are only 3 titles on SmackDown. There's 5 on Raw. You've got World, U.S., Women's, and Cruiserweight. 4. My fault. 4. And SmackDown only has 3. So there's a 1 title discrepancy. But technically, Raw's not going to have that Cruiserweight title for much longer.
They got 4.
Who does?
Tag, Intercontinental, Women's.
And then the World. Yeah. And then.
So wait a minute. So
Universal.
So Raw has 5. They got
Universal, US, Cruiserweight, Tag Team Women's, 5. My fault.
Yeah, No. They got a lot of titles over there. Well, I guess, like you said, it's only one different. This seems like a lot more.
And I think technically they're losing the Cruiserweight title because 205 Live is coming.
Yeah, that started last week, I think.
Yeah. Every Tuesday after SmackDown on the network.
Yeah, I still think that the Cruiserweight should have went to SmackDown. I think Raw just has so many people that they're trying to fit in.
And then now what you get with most of these SmackDown, or with most of the Raw Cruiserweight matches, they're like tag team match or triple threat match, or they're cramming all these guys into one match almost every single week when they have them. It seems a little oversaturated. Oh yeah, how about AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, TLC match, the only actual full-blown TLC match, tables, ladders, and chairs match of the night.
What did you think? I want to hear your opinion first.
I liked the build of the match. I liked the back and forth. I liked kind of the violence of the match. I felt like they were telling a good story. I was not expecting that ending at all. And maybe kudos to WWE for being unpredictable, but at the same time, it was just like you just made Dean Ambrose look so fucking foolish and weak because James Ellsworth cost him the title. It wasn't even. It would have made more fucking. It would have literally, to me, made more fucking sense to have fucking Baron Corbin come to the ring and cost him that title than James Ellsworth. To me, it didn't benefit that storyline. To me, it didn't benefit the overall essence of what they're trying to do with that story. And now it's only obvious if James Ellsworth does in fact have the title shot. He can't win. I've said it before, but it would hurt to see him win. That's what I think I want to say.
I know that they have these shows on the network now. I know they're $10 a show now, basically. And I get that sometimes they're going to end it in a crappy way, or, because they're probably thinking that nobody's paying the full $50 or $60 anymore. So, but for me to watch a great match that happened, like AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose, probably, in my opinion, one of my favorite ones that they've had against each other all, during this feud. And to see him come out and push it over, he ruined a perfectly good match at the end of a pay-per-view, and the payoff is for him to get a title shot. I will admit that was, even though I loved this match and I enjoyed it, that made me so mad. I just sat there and I was just like, not like overly mad, but just like mad to the point where I was just like, what in the hell just happened here?
It just, it was a head scratcher. That's the best way to put it. There's any other.
I find out later. Then I find out later the reason why he did it, of course, is because he's beat AJ Styles so many times, so he thinks he could beat him and become champion. Even though we all know he did it with Dean's help. But the thing is this: is not only did they end a perfectly great match at the end of a pay-per-view set up for a title match. When it happened, you had no earthly idea on why he did it. I did not know why he did it when he did it. I didn't understand why he did it when the show went off. And I did not understand why he did it until the Talking Smack live in-studio show after the pay-per-view. And even then, I watched that whole thing and didn't find out why he did it until the end of that. Like, in my mind, it did not cross my mind that the reason why he did it is because he has beat AJ Styles all those times and he wanted the title match. I mean, I know that they said he would get a title match at some point. It just didn't all come together for me. I just felt like I just didn't like the way it was handled, and I just didn't like that ending at all.
Yeah, it was definitely weak, and it seems like that's kind of been the running theme for the past couple wrestling pay-per-views. Obviously from Survivor Series and then now this is weak endings. Like, it just kind of ends poorly. Why aren't they sending us at the end of the show off with something memorable? The James Ellsworth thing is like, I want to equate it to this. When it happens and James Ellsworth pushes Dean over off the ladder, first mind is, he betrayed Dean Ambrose, the guy that helped him get the title, and there's all this going to be this heavy drama, and you're going to expect him to be this. Now he's going to evolve and maybe be a little bit of a heel, and then nope, he's just James Ellsworth, and he's just like, well, I thought I could beat AJ Styles again.
Yes.
And I'm just like, okay,
gosh.
but you're not though. Like,
Yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But no thrice. No fool me no 3 times.
It's just not interesting.
It's not.
It's just not interesting to me. I just feel like that they were. I mean, I know that everybody, they've wrestled each other a whole bunch. I know they're probably trying to inject something different into it because which is also the reason why I think they should have put the cruiserweights over there. They got all this time. Because they don't have a bunch of main event people on that show. They just don't. They don't have a lot of main event stars. John Cena's gone. And when I look at the rest of this card, like, as much as I would have liked to see Dolph Ziggler in the mix, they beat him to death. And I just don't think Baron Corbin, I know he wants to be in it, but he's not ready. Then Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton are the champions. They just don't have any other top stars, but they got to continue on AJ Styles and Dean some more. I totally understand why it's those two the past few months, but they're trying to make it interesting, trying to put some new life into it by using James Ellsworth. It's not working for me.
No, it's not working for me either. So before we move on outside of TLC, I got to know, solid pay-per-view, I'm going to say 3.5 stars. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking 3.5.
Yeah, it was better than some of the pay-per-views they've had recently. There were a couple blemishes on the card overall, but it was memorable. I liked it.
Yeah, even the match I said I didn't enjoy, the Nikki Bella and Carmella, even though I didn't enjoy that, match. And to me, not to harp on it, I know we're going to need to move on, but to me, I enjoyed their work. Like you said, I like their feud. I think that feud went one match too long. And it was basically just a setup for Carmella to say, I didn't jump you at Survivor Series. It was Natalya. And I know it's pretty much to me what I think it was used for, but I think it went one match too long. Even then, I enjoy them. But yeah, I think it was a really good pay-per-view overall, though.
Cool.
It was one of the better ones that I've seen in a while. Wasn't the best. Wasn't one of the best ones, but it was one of the better ones.
Okay, so on the other side of TLC, PRL, I got to tell you, I said that I had to talk about a bad promo. This bad promo has something to do with TLC, kinda, because this bad promo is in regards to your favorite wrestler of all time, Baron Corbin. Let's get down to it. On SmackDown this week, I'm watching the Hulu replay of SmackDown, and I'm kind of in and out. I'm folding laundry. I'm doing a bunch of shit, and I look up, and Baron Corbin's walking backstage, and I'm like, come on, quit giving this guy airtime. Like, I don't want to see his fucking face. And then he turned in what I consider the most Sid Vicious promo I've ever heard a wrestler cut. He essentially says that because Kalisto is a little man, and he's a big man, that he couldn't handle it. And then he said, Kalisto got in the ring with me and he was like a mosquito. And then I just splat. And that's all he said. He just fucking said splat, and he looked off in the distance like all like starry-eyed. Like he just said the greatest promo ever, and it was terrible.
That was horrible. I do remember that.
And I was just like, why would you say that? Did somebody really tell him to say that? Like that was acceptable?
Dude,
Is that going to be the new Baron Corbin catchphrase? You splat.
I hate this guy.
I know.
He can't do anything good.
No,
You want to know what makes me real mad about him too? Can I tell you one other thing? Is I'm a big fan of the WWE Supercard game, and I play it all the time on my mobile phone and my tablet.
Man, we should get a fucking sponsorship for that. That was a great plug. Continue.
I'm a big fan of this game. It probably has pushed the boundaries of my marriage to its limits some days when I'm steady playing it, and I probably should be doing other things around the house, but I'm trying to get the newest and latest cards for the week. But anyway, you have a team of 4 men and 2 women, and you do different matches against people. You have your 4 best men cards and your 2 best women cards. They do singles and tags of the men and women's 3 matches, best of 3 wins. And I have my 4 top male cards, and I'm at the highest level I've ever been. And of course, the strongest card is Baron Corbin, and the 3rd strongest card is Baron Corbin. And I'm so sick of looking at his face because I hate it. So I take him out of my deck, and then I lose all my matches. So then I got to put him back, and I start winning again. And I got to look at this dude every day on my phone, even though I hate his guts. Not once, but twice. Because I got my 2 strongest cards, or 2 of my strongest cards are Baron.
Oh, that sucks.
Yes, I hate this guy so much.
He's the worst.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what rumors Brando was going to discuss. I know that there was a WrestleMania rumor. I don't know if you've heard about Roman Reigns. Do you know who they're saying his opponent's probably going to be?
Let me think. If I had to guess what they would do with Roman, I'm probably going to be way off base, but if I had to think WWE style.
What's the most impossible match you could plan for WrestleMania 33 involving Roman Reigns?
I'm probably going to be off base, but if I had to guess that Roman Reigns was going to fight somebody, is it going to be what's the guy who used to be in the Wyatt family?
You're correct.
No, it's not.
Listen, yes, it is. So here's the current theorized plan. This is from Brando's mouth. I don't know where his source is from, but I remember me and Brando and I had a conversation about this a couple days ago off air before we did Journey into Comics, and the conversation really stuck with me, and I haven't stopped thinking about what he said. So he essentially said that the setup now is Roman winning the Universal title and becoming the first dual champion with the Universal title and the U.S. title. And then Braun Strowman goes on to face him for the title at WrestleMania.
Okay, hold on. Now, before anybody says that I knew, I did not know. We had not talked about
Not even close. I have zero discussion.
But the reason, but I'm going to explain why I guessed him.
Please do.
I've been watching wrestling for so long, and I feel as if sometimes they do stuff that I just would not do, or which is scarier, is that I feel like I can think like Vince. But the reason why I guessed him is because they cannot get Roman Reigns over in any way, shape, or form. They've tried to get Roman Reigns over by winning all his matches. They tried to get him over by losing. They tried to get him over by dominating a match. They tried to get him over by doing all these different matches in all these different ways, and nobody likes him. They've had him become the secondary champion, take him out of the main event. That's not helping. But the reason why I guessed him is because he is currently the biggest person they have on their roster. And in my mind, they would want to do can he overcome the odds of defeating the massive heel and have everybody try to get, they're probably going to show how hard it is for him to do it. And they're going to try to get people to rally with him. And then we're going to try to get people behind him and saying he can beat this heel. He can beat this big, massive guy. And that's what they're going to try to do to get people behind him. That's what I thought. But that's the only reason why I guessed him.
It was a damn good guess, man. And it's weird because that's definitely the line of thinking I think they're going with right now. It's still poor. It's just poor decision making. It's poor booking, and because
right, it is.
And because of that, I want to bring up this next little segment. This is something PRL and I are going to try. Padriac, we kind of slightly discussed this before the show. We were going to do it with Brando. Some things changed. So instead of doing two, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you one wrestler from any of the shows, and I want you to fantasy book this character until WrestleMania. Now, you don't have to tell me match by match, week by week, but just give me a generalized story of what you would do to really elevate this person. You can put them in any kind of match you would desire. I don't mind. Keep in mind there are two pay-per-views before, right? There are only two, or there are three? There are three pay-per-views. Four. Are there? How many pay-per-views are there before WrestleMania? Because I know there's Roadblock. We've got the Rumble.
That's a Raw one.
Okay. Then we've got Elimination Chamber.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's maybe another one, and then WrestleMania? Or
we got Roadblock, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber is I don't know if it's Raw. It's probably... Oh, no, it's a SmackDown event. I don't know what's after. I don't know if Raw has one, or I don't know what Raw's is.
I'm pulling something up right now that'll tell us. So we've got... It's going to be... Oh, wait, that's the end of this year. Shite. Oh, no, here it goes. Okay. So, end of the line, then the Rumble, then Elimination Chamber, then Fastlane, and then WrestleMania. So, Roadblock is a Raw. The Royal Rumble is Dual. Elimination Chamber is SmackDown. Fastlane would most likely be Raw. WrestleMania would be Dual. And then we go into kind of a more old school, it looks like, schedule in 2017 where they cut a couple more pay-per-views back, which I heard that they were planning on doing. So you'll have a total of 5 pay-per-view matches to book, it looks like. Well, depending on what show they're on, actually, will kind of depend on how many.
That's right.
So let's go. You know what? I have to hear it. I have to know, and I'm really interested to know. I want to hear how you book AJ Styles up and until WrestleMania. He's one of your favorites right now. They're not really doing with him what you would like to see happen. So you're given the reins. You can ultimately book whoever in these matches, which means you can kind of play with these rosters. But you have full control of AJ Styles right now. He is the WWE World Champion. Go ahead.
Well, okay. So he's, of course, right now, he's in the middle of something with Dean. I think that ultimately he's going to have one more, whether it's on TV or pay-per-view, he's going to have one more match with Dean, because this whole James Ellsworth, and Dean's going to say it wasn't very, it wasn't fair the way it ended up for him, and he's going to say that he's going to get another shot. And I think that Dean will lose again, but I also think that around the Royal Rumble time is going to be where John Cena is going to come back. But the only thing is that they're going to have a match at the Royal Rumble. Oh man, this is hard to do when you haven't thought about it. I think he's going to have a play, because ultimately he's going to have something. They don't have that many main event people, and I think that John Cena is going to get back in the mix. I don't think it's going to last long. I think they're going to have different things planned for John Cena at WrestleMania. I know there's a couple rumors of him fighting. Well, one of the rumors that I heard before was it was going to be him and Undertaker, which I don't know if that's going to actually happen. But
that's what I had heard too. Brando had also discussed that with me, that Taker would become champion and fight Cena for the title, where it would be career on the line. Taker loses, his career is over. That way, Cena winning the 16th title kind of has a significance, because then he also retires the Undertaker. He gets the rub for that. I don't know. I just think that if you want to make John Cena the absolute most hated character in all of wrestling, have him retire the Undertaker. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. And I don't think that's going to do anybody any. I don't think it's going to do him or anybody any favors. But I mean, because ultimately, and I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't think that he's going to be champion. But what I would love to see, it's kind of hard for me to book. I would need to really think about it and connect dots. This is a lot harder than I thought it would be, especially because I didn't know who you were going to throw at me. If I would have known you were going to throw at me, I would have been thinking during this show. I think I don't know how to get there, though, without really thinking about it. What I would love to see at WrestleMania, though, I'm not going to lie, is I would love to see Samoa Joe AJ match.
Okay, well, how would you get to that match?
See, and that's the thing, is because I could totally see, because if they go about, I think Samoa Joe just losing the NXT title, and if he was in the Rumble, I know it would be hard to do with Goldberg and Brock in there, but they don't need to win the Rumble. If they're going to fight again, neither one of them needs to win it.
Correct.
And honestly, I don't really care to see either one of them win it. But if they put Joe in there, I would love for Joe to be a surprise entrant, and I would like to see him win it, and I would find Joe winning that, I would find it totally believable, because on all, pretty much all through Joe's career, he's been a badass, and in NXT he's been a badass, and I totally would not blink an eye or totally think he was out of place if he was in there at the end with a few people, and like if Goldberg and Lesnar was one of them, or two of the few people that's left, and I wouldn't find that weird, and I could totally see him winning it. I think that AJ is going to have to get. I think that they don't have a lot of top people on SmackDown, and I think that like I say, he's going to finish this with Dean. But about that time, John Cena is going to be done recording his show. he's going to come back and he's going to want a match. And I think at the Royal Rumble, they're going to fight. And I think that Dean would, I know it's against what the rumors are, but in my mind, I would like to see Dean, or not Dean, I like to see AJ get past Cena again at the Rumble. But at the same time, I would like to see Joe win that Rumble. And then I would like to see him challenge AJ. But of course, even though I love AJ, I would totally like to see Joe win, just so we can have another main event person. And Joe would win the Rumble, and he'd have a few months, but he would go on and I think that he would go through like Baron Corbin. I think he would go through him and John Cena are friends in real life, and that's one person that I could totally see Cena doing a favor for of all people, build up and like if he needed to get like even if it might just be a TV match, it might not be anything real huge, but I would totally not be surprised as long as those two have been friends that Cena would get pinned, and he could go through some people. And then every week, leading, as it gets closer, you see, at the end of the TV show where somebody, gets revenge, somebody does something to someone, the next week they get revenge on them, and they have the back and forth at the end of the shows, and then at WrestleMania, get the big showdown between Samoa Joe and AJ, and Samoa Joe would win.
I dig it.
That would be my dream thing, and like I said, if I had more time, I probably would be able to book a lot better. But that's my kind of thing. I think that it'd be, he'd get past me, past Cena. Samoa Joe would be the new person, new rival of his, and it would go down with Joe winning at WrestleMania. And I think that with the way that wrestling has been, when we've seen CM Punk and we've seen Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and I mean, and nothing. I'm not saying anything bad about Kevin Owens' build, but it's just not something that you would have ever thought that you would ever see someone with that build as champion after all these years. Just because Vince really likes his type of people, the tall people like Seth and Diesel and the muscular people like Hogan and Warrior, and you just didn't think you'd ever see Kevin Owens. And I mean, and Kevin Owens has been, I think he's been a pretty success, for the role that he plays as the cowardly heel. I think that he has done a good job, and I could see them, Joe has a similar, body type and build and as Kevin Owens. So, in my mind, I wouldn't be surprised if they let him do it. Wrestling, these main event people has changed a lot in the past few years, especially since Triple H started to get more involved. But yeah, that's what I think. That's what I would like to see, and that's how I would book. That's how I would book AJ.
I'd be into that totally. I love where you took him. I like the idea that Joe wins the Rumble, kind of has a little something to prove, ends up getting a hold of AJ at Mania, put him over to be the champ. It would maybe bring a little bit more oomph to the SmackDown side of things. I feel like that's maybe where they're really lacking. So yeah, I agree. I like that setup. So now I'm interested to know who you throwing in my way to book.
You know what? And it's funny too. This person that I'm gonna pick because
don't say Baron Corbin.
No, I'm not.
Because I'll book him in the trash.
No, but this is someone that we both like a lot, and like you said earlier about, and this is gonna give it away about how and I totally agree with you about how and I could totally see this dude being a champion and getting far, because like I just said, the new role of how the champions that they pick and look and everything is all different, and but they just got them losing all the time. And I would like to know how you would book Sammy, and not necessarily like Sami Zayn being champion. I just think that he could do so much better with him, and I'm kind of wondering what you would do with him.
Honestly, I think if you're going to book Sami Zayn, we would talk about, well, we're not going to book Rumble because Rumble's coming up. He would be in the Royal Rumble, obviously. He probably isn't going to win. That's cool. he's a Raw guy. That means the next time we'd see him on pay-per-view would be not Elimination Chamber, but Fastlane if Elimination Chamber is a SmackDown pay-per-view. So having a match at Fastlane, what do you do with Sammy? What kind of program do you put him in? Who do you have him work with? And I really think that comes down to who's on the roster that can elevate him, that could also be okay with losing, that makes the overall product better. And I don't think there's anybody better than Chris Jericho. I think putting Sammy in a program now, a long-term program with Chris Jericho, where maybe Sammy is a little bit more of a heel in a sense, or maybe, this is on the other side of Jericho Owens remaining champions and holding on to the U.S. or holding on to the Universal title. KO would be like, Chris, like, we're doing great, but you probably need to have some matches with somebody to stay sharp. It can't just be me wrestling all the time. And put, you put Sammy in there, Sammy versus Jericho. They can do all kinds of crazy spots. Jericho's phenomenal in the ring. He's one of my all-time favorites. He's one of your all-time favorites. I love how Sami Zayn works in the ring. I love his fearlessness. I know we've seen Sammy and Jericho work together before, and they put on good work. Imagine giving them a couple months to build that going into WrestleMania. Maybe you do, in fact, give Jericho the U.S. title, and maybe they are battling for the U.S. title, and eventually, Sammy gets put over. I mean, you got to think, Fandango beat Chris Jericho at WrestleMania, so anything is possible at this point. And I just think if you're gonna go out there and be like, all right, I've got to book these guys, I got to book a solid job. If you're not booking Sami Zayn with a worker like Jericho, then I honestly, man, it's difficult to say because there's so many different talented guys on Raw. But it seems like they're all tied up with something. You can't pick anybody from the New Day. They got the tag team stuff. Can't pick Gallows and Anderson. Again, tag team stuff. Sheamus and Cesaro, tag team stuff. Then you've only got the few guys that are working at the top. Rollins, Reigns, Owens, Jericho, and then we'll put Zayn there. So what? Now, Roman versus Sammy. Sammy's going to make Roman look good, but it's not going to help Sammy to go over. People already don't like Roman Reigns. To have Sammy beat him isn't going to be anything great. It's not like, anything legendary. To have him work with Kevin Owens, maybe it's a little too soon. I know they have a great feud against each other, and while that storyline totally could easily be set up, they're best friends, and now KO has the only title that matters, and fuck, I have to prove it to myself, and I hate to rip open an old wound, but let's go to battle again, my old friend, and they could do battle, and that's kind of cool too. But ultimately, I just think Sammy needs somebody he can beat, somebody he can have great matches with, somebody he can build stories with, and then you can transition him to a top-level guy. He should be a top-level guy now, but they dropped the ball. They haven't worked him right. They haven't really given him a lot of opportunities because the one spot I feel Sammy's game really lacks is his promos. I feel like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not a lot. Look, Roman is a top dog, if you will, and he can't promo to save his fucking life. So it's not to be said that Sami Zayn absolutely needs to have promos to move into the upper echelon, but he is missing something. There's some sort of crucial element, or there's something. He almost kind of has that early days CM Punk thing to him, where you could put a title on him, but it wouldn't be really believable. Right. You could put more like the Universal title, because you could put the IC or the US title on him, and I think he could run with it no problem. But he just needs to stop being a lovable loser and become a badass winner, and that, like I said, and I think put him in a match maybe for a tag title, or maybe for the US title against Jericho, if Jericho could somehow win a US title. Ultimately you could have Sammy just beat Roman for the U.S. title, and then he's still facing Jericho at Mania and defending the title, and that'd be an interesting way to go too. It seems the WWE has actually gotten really smart about booking titles on their pay-per-views, like title matches, because for a long time they've really struggled with doing that. It seems like they put a lot of gimmick matches into their show, and then not a lot of titles get defended, or one title gets left off for whatever reason. Now it seems like every pay-per-view we're getting, every title's at least defended once or in some form or fashion, or the people who hold the titles are in a match specifically with the people they're working with, and it just seems like they're building towards a better product. But to finish that up, let's talk about real quick. I know what Brandon wanted to say, and this will be the last thing before we get out of here, and we don't need to spend a super long amount on this, but Brando brought up that he wanted to talk about the WWE title identity crisis. I'm thinking that's probably the SmackDown title. Maybe it's the Universal title. Maybe it's every title that they have as a whole as a company. One thing I know is it's difficult for me to consider like the Universal title mattering more than the WWE title. But then the things they do and the way they present the WWE title makes it seem like they're intentionally trying to make it less important, if you will. Maybe that's a bad word. Less impossible to obtain, if you will. Because it's like to me, the thing with the titles is that. Maybe this is a segment. Brandon just gives us random headlines and we try to figure out what the fuck he's saying. But honestly, I think what he's saying is that it seems like every title is the prestige of all these titles are so different and skewed. No one gives a damn about the U.S. title. The IC title's awesome. I love the WWE title, but they make me feel like I need to be more caring and attentive to the Raw Universal title. The women's titles, there probably only needed to be one women's champion that floated between the two shows since there's so many chicks wrestling in the division now, in the two divisions, should we say, to have a SmackDown belt and a Raw belt and the different colors, red and blue, and it's and then to think about the Cruiserweight title. Okay, and what that means, well, the Cruiserweight title, cool, great, but they're going to have their own show now, so that title's probably just mostly going to be defended there. Why would you put it on, you've kind of taken back having them on the main roster by saying, well, we're giving them their own show. Well, if you're giving them their own show, they're probably not going to be used on Raw nearly as much as they were being used on, which at some point I'm guessing we're going to see a transition where 205 Live has multiple titles and maybe is its own little sub-show. We'll have to see there. But I don't really know what Brandon was talking about there. Do you think there's an identity crisis with some of the belts?
Yeah, and I think the problem, I agree with you on, I feel like that the WWE title should be the most important title in the company, which I know that they're trying to make them, well, they want you to think equally, but they're not doing it that way. But the thing is that even though they're supposed to be equal, but man, they always make Raw seem like the more important show, which I wish they didn't. I wish they would try to treat them a little more equal, but they don't. They put a lot more of the top talent on Raw. Raw was a 3-hour show. Raw is where they do. I mean, now it's SmackDown's live, and plus now, even though SmackDown is live, you always are going to have 15 years or something of the stigma of, SmackDown was taped, so nothing big ever happened, and now I know it's live. But some people, it's going to be hard to get them out of that frame of mind. For a lot of the, wrestling has its casual fans too, and it's going to be in their head that nothing ever happens on SmackDown. They haven't really, actually, to be honest. I mean, it's only been a few weeks, but they haven't. In my mind, they haven't done anything like really super outstanding on SmackDown yet to make you think, "Oh man, I need to watch this" or anything. It's just with Raw. It seems like that they're always going to make Raw be the number one show, unfortunately, and. So yeah, like you said, they make you think that the Raw title is more important. And I was really hoping that they would try to make things a little more equal now that they're both live, but they just haven't done anything real big yet to make you feel that way.
No, not at all.
And also, yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I agree with you about the women's. And it's kind of like they got 3 of the 4 of the big NXT. Crew on Raw. They got the one on SmackDown, But then but SmackDown does have like, Becky and Nikki and Carmella, Alexa,
Natalia.
But I feel as if they could probably do a whole lot better matches if they were to have all those together and have one. And I kind of feel that way about the tag team. You know what? In a way, I feel like that with the tag team, maybe just a little bit more. I wish they would just float it back and forth too, because there's just not enough teams.
No,
I mean,
and you keep
even
smashing
on
all the
SmackDown,
same. Oh, go ahead.
Man, on SmackDown, they had to bring back the Headbangers and the Spirit Squad for several matches just because they don't have enough teams to do things over there.
And then it also seems like they just like, if they don't know what to do, they just take like two teams and put them in a multi-team tag team match with like one other person who they couldn't figure out what the fuck to do on the roster. Kind of talking about like the pre-show match. Like that seems like a consistent thing with the SmackDown shows, are that they have some sort of multi-tag team match with person or persons. And it's kind of getting stale. Interestingly enough, dude, I have a little bit of a breaking news thing. Now, this is something you probably won't find on like your pro wrestling scoops or anything. I know this is something that came from PW Insider, but it also came from someone who I know that wrote the article that's from Lafayette, which is where Brandon's from. Okay. Lafayette trained wrestler Heidi Lovelace has signed an exclusive deal with the WWE. She trained with Billy Rock's School of Rock Wrestling Academy. She had her final show in November there before he retired. She has a bunch of different like independent, different kind of awards that she's won. She was an extra for WWE, and it says that recently the WWE has really shined a spotlight on the women's matches and on the ladies that they have there. It's really setting an example for other independent promotions, because a lot of times what the WWE does, the independents usually follow suit. And it says you're really seeing a lot more women just shine and really open people's eyes to what women's wrestling can be. And then, that she's going to... So I would say maybe by the first of the year, she'll debut down in NXT or something. But looks like someone who's a little bit more local is going to be a pro wrestler.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think... do you have anything else, Padriac, that you wanted to bring up about wrestling that you thought you could talk about?
No, I don't have anything really. I think we covered everything that I wanted to talk about.
Looking forward to the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, we need to do a big show for that.
In a perfect world, and this is something that would be extraordinarily difficult to pull off, but in a perfect world, I would love to do like a live show while we watched the Royal Rumble.
You know what? I was thinking that too.
And then what we would do is we would like cut all like down to like just the best matches would be what we would have the show as, us commentating and discussing the matches as they're happening. I don't know. I think there's a lot of logistics that go into that, but if we could figure those logistics out, I think it'd be really sweet to do.
That'd be something that was something I would look forward, or I would like to do. I know that we kind of talked about doing the year-end best of show, which I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah, Brando said that soon he'll be getting out lists to us of like categories that he wants to give our review or our, awards to, and then he has a great plan for it, guys. I can't wait to do that end of the year review show. We're going to be giving away just different kind of awards to wrestlers and matches that we thought were great this past 2016. I don't think I have anything else. I know that you really hate a certain wrestler. I just wanted to tell you that. I don't like Baron Corbin, and I'm so sorry you have to stare at his face on Supercard.
Oh, gosh. I know. There's been a couple times where I just thought about throwing this phone.
You're just like, I'm done with this game.
Yes.
But just now, every time you see Baron Corbin, just think of Splat.
Yeah, I will do that.
He's so grimy. I hate it. All right, folks. Well, this was an episode of Journey into Wrestling. I'm Nate.
And I am Padriac. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say that. I don't know what just happened.
Oh, I was waiting for you to say it. It's cool. We'll edit that to sound a little closer together, folks. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, this was Journey into Wrestling. We had a fun time talking, and we'll see you guys next time. Later.
Later.